Meanwhile, farmers are under siege from stock thieves in KwaZulu-Natal. Syndicates are slaughtering cattle at night and making off with the meat. eNCA senior reporter Dasen Thathiah has those details for us.
This is the only cow Ernest Ngubo has left. His cattle were slaughtered and stolen near his house last year.
Only I wake up in the morning about 2. When I'm checking the crawl, I only found out the cattle is not there. I'm trying to wake my son and my neighbor, and then we make a follow-up, and then we chase these guys, and then only found out the cattle was chopped. There to what you call Dasen River there. Only 6, and then they left what you call the calf.
Ngubo has lived here all his life. He was eventually able to raise a herd of 7 animals, before cattle thieves made off with most of them.
Some other guys, my neighbor there, they took about 10, and then the other one on top of the hill there, they took 9. Right there in Mhlangamkhulu area, with my cousin there, they took about 7.
The Ngubo family is still upset about the loss.
My mother passed away. After that, she was complaining about about our cars. She said, hey, we lost everything, my son. We lost everything, my son. After that, we became sick, and then she passed away.
On another South Coast property, this farmer, who chose to remain anonymous for safety reasons, also fell victim. His neighbors raised the alarm.
They were hooting on my gate, and then when I opened the kitchen door, they said that all your cattle are dead here in our farm in the zone. I took my car, I followed them, I found all 10. They were 26 all in all. 10 were dead. I found the head and the stomach. I think that I lost more than 250,000 according to the cow value in this nowadays, because I used to sell. Even I've got a shortfall in the farm. I used to sell one of some cattle or goats, and then in order to cover up in the sugarcane industry.
Shaheen Suleiman is the owner of Magma Security, one of the teams tracking cattle thieves in the province.
We've picked that there's a huge problem in the South Coast, and that's when SAPS, together with our security company, Magma Security, we sat together and we said, listen, guys, let's assist and let's see if we can get to these syndicates. And we started to investigate these syndicates, and that's where we managed to get some successes.
One of those successes came in December, when they received a tip-off about robbers heading to Durban with stolen meat. A suspect was killed during a subsequent gunfight on the N2.
The suspects in them herd these cattle, herd them into a bush, kill them. Once they kill them, they cut them in 4 quarters. And once they slaughter them, cut them in 4 quarters, put them into the back of the bakkie, and then they'll call the bakkie. The bakkie will just come, load the meat, and off they go.
We've got reasons to believe that there are syndicates at play, because they don't only steal this cattle, they slaughter as well, and they slaughter in numbers. In one incident, you can get 8, 9 cattle slaughtered, 2, 3, 4 slaughtered. That could not be one person, and that means there is a market for that syndicate.
They'll sell a quarter for 1,500 rand. So a bull could be worth 20,000 rand. But for them, they'll cut it up, and they've got their buyers. I mean, their buyers are your hostels, your shisanyamas, your butcher shops. There's catering people that are buying it. There's funeral people that are also buying it. And it's for weddings, Stockfell, Lobola. So this is how big the market is.
The targets from the info we receive from the ground is your informal distributors and consumers. Maybe those who are running small businesses like your shisanyamas. We're not saying every shisanyama is using stolen meat, but they are easy targets for those who steal meat, because there won't be any paperwork, there's no grading of the meat.
The Red Meat Producers Organization says stock theft is not to be taken lightly.
It's regarded at national office as a priority crime. Obviously, it's a huge financial burden on commercial farmers as well as emerging farmers in terms of the loss of their livestock, because we must remember that livestock is not insured.
The organization is trying to create awareness about stock theft.
So we're trying to communicate with the communities as to please count the cattle and can count them on a daily basis and mark them. That's the most important thing, because your syndicates, you'll find, will rather steal the unbranded animal and then brand it with their own brand mark, and then it's difficult to prove ownership.
These investigations are not always easy.
We're always looking for evidence to link that cattle to a crime scene, to the owner. So by the time it gets to the shisanyamas and to the butcher shops, the skins are off. So how do you prove that cattle? You'll have to do DNA.
The SAPS has arrested 8 more suspects in the past few weeks. But farmers are calling for police to be more proactive.
The police must be visible in all areas or where, because they don't take only the cows, even the goats now. The goats, this thing will proceed now. They will enter to the house and take some furniture and everything.
But beyond the impact on livelihoods, there's a deeper consequence of stock theft.
Cattle in our culture is we call it umsam wekhaya. It is where you talk with the ancestors in the kraal. If there is something wrong in the family, you go to the kraal and then you talk. There should be some cattle inside there. When you talk to the ancestors, you talk with the cattle or with the goat. The goat and the cattle is for the ancestors. Therefore, it's very important. I think that even our ancestors has devastated and then maybe they ran away in the kraal. That is why this year, I made a ceremony of wrestling my kraal.
Dasen Thathiah in Sizela, KwaZulu-Natal.